Hello everyone, once again to On the Couch with David and Travis.
And this is the beginning of the end of the first book. We got I called it the Waterbending Teacher or whatever, but it's the Waterbending Master.
You did the
Waterbending Master is what it's called.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's obviously, especially the B plot, meant to be the first act in a 3-part story. You know, it's setting up a lot for what's to come, so you're not getting as much. But what's there with the Aang plot, I think, is pretty good.
It's fine. I am not, opposed to it, but I'm not really, amazed by it. I think it's a very standard kind of plot you would see in a kid's TV show.
I'm pretty resilient to the whole, I don't teach women thing. It's kind of, I get that it's an important issue, but it's kind of been said and done in terms of entertainment. This isn't saying anything new or different or subversive.
And I think there's really no exploration as to why that issue would even exist. Which, doesn't, the rule doesn't make sense, not because it doesn't make sense in general, but just because, there's no reason set up by the Water Tribe to make that occur. They're just well, you're a woman, so I won't teach you.
Well, they didn't want to say, but I think the implication is supposed to be, the common thing with cultures that women are weaker, so they shouldn't be fighting, they should be healing. They didn't want to say that, but I feel like
that it should have been more explicit. Because, the way it is now, it's just, that's just the way we do things here. And it's just not as in-depth as it should be going.
And the resolution is, the woman you loved didn't like to do the things the way you should do, or basically, and that's his turn, and it's weird, it doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, it doesn't completely 100% make sense in the context.
There should have been a better change, and I didn't want it to be the obvious she overpowers them and he goes, oh, you go, girl, you're even better than me, because that would have just been pandering. I think that would have been very constructive either.
I feel like this is a really hard plot to get right.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different ways that it could teeter on into, just beating the audience over the head with something, or not doing enough to show that there's just a lot of ways that it can go wrong. For
me, the best way to look at it is from an entertainment perspective, and from that perspective, it's boring. It's done. We've seen it a million times.
Yeah, exactly. The fight was cool.
The animation in this episode is fantastic.
Yeah.
Did a lot of cool stuff with the waterbending, which was great to see.
The fight was awesome. But I feel like Katara hasn't gotten there enough to really necessitate her being as good as she was in the water fight. She shouldn't
be as good as Aang. She shouldn't be as good in that fight because they've also gone explicit steps to make it she's a worse waterbender than Aang, even though he's just naturally better. And that was an important kind of episode. That was sort of an important learning thing there, her dealing with that and growing as a character. So to have her just miraculously be good now, it's a little, on the nose.
And there are scenes in the previous episodes where you see her waterbending, and it could have been used as a time for her to show her building up her waterbending skills. In the last one with the air temple, they showed a little bit with her waterbending with the tanks, which is cool. But then the one before that, they had that scene where Aang accidentally shoots out fire. She could have easily blocked herself with water somehow and showed her skills that are getting better. And I think if they would have made that more explicit throughout the series, that character growth would have been more apparent and made more sense.
Yeah, the story and the characters and the dialogue is the weak part here, but we are given a lot of other stuff, which is great. This whole new area we're in is designed beautifully. There's a lot of whites and blues, which is great to look at. It's kind of it's supposed to be sort of North Pole, sort of Inuit, but it also has sort of this Venetian thing.
Yes, it
where
does.
They have the boat going around. And I loved, there's a small touch that the water, except for them pushing the boat, was completely still.
Yeah.
It wasn't a river, it wasn't rushing, and I don't know what that's supposed to mean, if there's a deeper meaning in it, but it's fun to look at, and it's smart, and I like it.
Yeah. I also, and this is a small thing too, but on those bridges, they had this little spiral staircase they went up, and it just the way that the space was physically designed was so detailed that it didn't have to be that detailed for a kid's show, but I feel like there was work and effort put into making this place seem like an actually livable area. And that deserves commending.
Visually, it's a very meticulous episode. You can tell that they put a lot of time and energy into every piece of water bending, every outfit, every area here. And, when the story isn't 100%, it's nice that we're getting visuals like that.
Definitely. the Zuko plot is
It's almost, for me, it's almost like a non-factor, because it's 100% building up something. They're obviously going to invade the Water Tribe. Obviously, Zuko wasn't dead. I don't know who they're trying to fool with that.
well, I'm sure like little kids might think that because they aren't.
Yeah, but they need to build this so things work for little kids and for adults.
Yeah.
And obviously, Uncle Aero, I never remember what it is, whatever. The
Iroh.
uncle knew more was going on than he let on. It just felt a little too... We got to get all this plot stuff out of the way so we have a build-up for parts 2 and 3.
I liked it. They brought the pirates back, which was fine.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that Zhao, as we've seen before, he doesn't like to do his own dirty work a lot of the time. So it makes sense that happened. It makes sense that Iroh would, play dumb in order to beat Zhao at his game. Makes sense that Zuko would invade into the Fire Army. So I don't know. I feel like that plot was overall very satisfying.
There's just not a lot to talk about with it. I mean, it's a good episode, but it's a setup. This is the first act of a 3-part thing, and I mean that's a good way to do it for an ending, to have a 3-part ending. I'm not going to say, oh, you shouldn't have done it because it's a disservice to this episode, because it works in the context they set it up. I just hope that there's enough payoff, and I don't really remember this section as well, but I hope there's enough payoff in parts 2 and 3.
It almost feels like, and I don't think it completely feels like this, but almost like they cut an episode in half and then gave us this 22-minute segment, and then we're going to have another 22-minute segment afterwards.
Exactly.
I feel like it's good. It's good.
And there's some arranged marriage stuff, but I mean, based off the very obvious things put here, we'll be able to talk about that more in parts 2 and 3.
Yeah.
It's not a very subtle episode.
No. It tends to, beat you over the head with stuff. But I think overall, it's fine. Even Avatar at a alright episode is better than...
It's not one that's, like, disappointing or feels like missed opportunities like some of the previous ones. Mm-hmm. It's just sort of, okay, that was good, let's see what's next.
Like, it's like a 6.
Yeah.
It's like a
Well, it's so hard to rate things, because the other episodes I would give higher than a 6, but I'm disappointed with them more because of the missed opportunities.
Yeah, and whereas this one, the stakes weren't as high throughout the entire
And it's like,
episode.
I wasn't like, obviously they should have gone deeper with the girl thing, but I knew the way that it started out that it was just going to be, it wasn't going to be an all-out, exploring the battle of the sexes type thing, because you can't do that, and I don't blame them for not doing it.
Yeah, it's just too much. There's too much going on with it to truly be able to do it in a 22-minute episode, so...
We're really getting close to that. We have 2 more episodes left in the season.
It's exciting. We're almost done. And then we'll be on to season 2 eventually.
Yeah. In our next session, we'll finish the last 2 episodes. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about what we have coming next.
Yeah.